I spent 16 years in the field as an agent, and one of the things I always hated back. I've been in the business 41 years. In August will be 41 years, so it's been a long time. So it's one of those things where back when I started taking an app, you'd take an app, you'd have to send it in to find out. I know now that you can call and try to get an underwriting decision, but in most cases, you've already filled out the application, you've already got the bank information, the beneficiary information, everything on that app before you find out whether or not that client's qualified. What we want to do is to give you an indication of probably a 95% chance or better up front whether or not that client qualifies medically before you even start the application on that client. And that does a number of things. One, it's going to, if for some reason we don't want that client medically, we can let you know that before you spend a lot of time on Baltimore Life's product. It also obviously saves the client time. But more importantly, if we decline that client up front before we start that application process, it doesn't have to, it's not a declined application. So you can go to another company and say, hey, if they ask the question, have you ever been declined with insurance? That client's never been declined for insurance at that point in time with Baltimore Life. We've not started an application, so it doesn't hinder the client's ability to purchase insurance in the future. We have simplified underwriting. It says here the eligibility decisions in 3 to 5 minutes. I always say that's a compliance term. It really is basically however long it takes you to get the client's full name, the client's full address, the last 4 digits of their social security number, and then their email address, and their height and weight. Once however long it takes you to get that, and then their signature, if you're with them on a DocuSign device. Obviously, if you're not with them, you're going to have to email them that DocuSign information for them to click on a couple of things to give us permission then to go out and tap a couple of our vendors, our prescription drug check, and then our MIB history. But this is all in the pre-app process. Once you've gotten that information, the client signed your device for the DocuSign. You'll see a little spinning wheel there in the middle of your screen. It takes about 30 seconds. Again, it's based off the client's connectivity as to whether or not how long it takes. But typically 30 seconds or less, you're going to know back whether that client qualifies for a Baltimore Life product or not. It's going to come back and tell you they qualified for preferred, they qualified for standard, they qualified for modified, or at this time your client doesn't qualify, as I said earlier. We do strive for 100% point of sale automated underwriting decision. There's not an ability to go out and ask for parameds or blood work or anything as part of this process. I'm going to show you an example of shorter and easy to understand health questions. I mean, if you're dealing with other life insurance final expense companies out there, you're dealing with maybe even some of your health companies, that you see a lot of times a question may ask one question and it may ask about 20 impairments. And then the only answer is a yes or no question. So it leaves a company with the company don't know which impairment you had, and they don't know how bad it was or how your client's being treated for you. So they have to assume the worst case scenario. I'm going to show you an example a little bit later of COPD, which is a common thing for us, probably common for you as well too in your market to understand. And at this point in time too, I would say, Francis, if there's anything that pops up in the Q&A out there that you want to interrupt me, that I'm not looking at that. So if something comes up, please be sure to interrupt me, and I'll try to answer those as we go along. If on the health questions that the client answers a yes to any of the health questions, you'll have a few reflexive health questions that kind of drop down for us to better make an underwriting decision. And I think you'll see a little bit later how that works and how that benefits your client. We have preferred and standard options for issue ages 45 to 89. Now, 2 things on that line there. One, we have a preferred category. I don't know of any other carrier in the final expense market that really has a true preferred category. When we started developing this, I was a little concerned that it might be what I would refer to as an advertised rate, saying you can get insurance out here this cheap, but nobody ever qualifies for it. I would tell you right now that over 80% of the clients, the applications we get in, qualify at a preferred rate. Now, I don't know if that's because our distribution, our agents are doing a better job of underwriting it and knowing up front, and the pre-app process helps that. But over 80% of our clients currently get a preferred rate. If they don't get a preferred rate, good chance they're going to get standard. And we'll also go up to age 89 there. Most final expense companies go up only to age 85. We'll go all the way up to age 89, and we'll do it at a preferred rate as well too. If they don't qualify for preferred or standard, we offer a modified return of premium as a third option, and those issue ages are 45 to 80. We'll go all the way up to $50,000 in what I call our sweet spot for final expense. I'll get on that into that in the next slide. Most final expense companies go up to a maximum of $35,000, maybe $40,000 there, and we'll go all the way up to $50,000 for this product. We do offer true Social Security billing. So if your client has their money going to their bank account on the 3rd of the month, and we need it drafted on the 3rd of the month to make sure that they don't spend it after the fact, we want to make sure that that draft is taken out on the 3rd of the month. Or if the 3rd of the month or the draft date is to fall on the weekend, we match whenever Social Security is supposed to put that into their account. We offer multiple payment options for the client on this product. We got a life pay version where they pay it the rest of their life. That's typically the lowest per month premium. It's also the one that they would pay until they die on that. They can get a 20 pay if they want to pay it up in 20 years and have a fully paid up life policy in 20 years. They can do that. But in some cases, we have a single premium version of that. And I would say don't overlook that, especially if you work in a Medicare market. You're going to find some clients out there that's kind of already thought these things through, and they may say, well, hey, I've already got my final expenses planned out. Well, part of that planning out may be that they've got money set aside in a bank account or a CD, $5,000 or $10,000 to help pay those expenses. And you can utilize this life insurance and use a single premium, but where you're using less of their money to still, you can maybe take $5,000 of their of what they've got saved in a CD and use it to buy a $10,000 I Provide product. So keep that in mind. Don't ever overlook that, and ask the client how they'd like to fund it if they got money set aside, especially if they tell you they've already got money set aside to help pay some of their final expense premiums. This last bullet point is one that I always like. I think it adds so much value to you in your sales presentation. It adds value to your client, and I think it really sets us apart as being a true final expense product